All right, let's jump right in. In this explainer, we're diving deep into a highly relevant ancient text from the Mahabharata that basically acts as the ultimate masterclass on leadership, governance, and personal management. We're talking about a profound dialogue that is literally thousands of years old. Yet, honestly, it feels like it could have been written this morning for a modern executive boardroom.
Picture this for a second. You're sitting on a throne, the undisputed leader of a vast kingdom. Suddenly, this legendary sage shows up just to evaluate every single aspect of your life, from how you sleep to how you pay your people, right down to how you manage your own mind. Ask yourself, would your leadership actually survive that kind of intense scrutiny?
To break this all down, we're going to structure this explainer into a 5-part performance review. The ultimate leadership audit, mastering the leader's mind, strategy, spies and security, building a thriving economy, and wrapping up with the true fruits of power.
So Part 1, the ultimate leadership audit.
Enter our auditor, the celestial Rishi Narada, arriving right at the court of King Yudhishthira. Now, when you look at this guy's resume, it makes total sense why the king instantly stood up in pure humility to listen to him. Narada wasn't just a monk, you know. He was this ancient, unmatched polymath. The text describes him as mastering the spiritual Vedas, sure, but also logic, moral science, and hard politics. He was conversant in the sciences of war, complex treaties, ambuscades, reserves, the whole 9 yards. He was even skilled in astronomy, music, and drawing razor-sharp inferences from evidence. A true strategic genius in every sense of the word.
Moving into Section 2, Mastering the Leader's Mind.
Before Narada even looks at the kingdom itself, he goes straight for the king's mind. Why? Because external success absolutely requires internal mastery. He asks this incredibly pointed question about time allocation. Notice the precise balance here. Narada wants to know if the king is dividing his time evenly between religion, wealth, pleasure, and salvation, without letting any single one ruin the others. He specifically probes to see if the pursuit of wealth is destroying his religion, or if chasing pleasure is cannibalizing both wealth and religion. It's a seriously profound audit of how a leader spends their hours.
And the key to keeping that balance? Well, Narada warns the king that there are exactly 14 specific vices that will utterly ruin even the strongest, most established monarchs out there. Let's actually look at a few of the big ones from that list of 14. He calls out procrastination, idleness, anger, and a restless mind. But he also gets highly operational. He warns against taking counsel with only one person, abandoning a settled plan halfway through, or just undertaking massive projects without reflecting first. Think about that for a second. Do you suffer from any of these ancient productivity killers today? It is wild how human nature really hasn't changed at all.
All right, Section 3, Strategy, Spies, and Security.
This is where we get into a surprisingly modern framework for statecraft and national security. Look at the specific number Narada emphasizes for espionage: 3. He tells the king to uncover everything about his enemies by deploying exactly 3 spies for every single target. But here's the absolute genius of it. Those 3 spies, they must be completely unacquainted with one another. They operate entirely in the dark regarding each other's existence. That way, the king can cross-verify intelligence without any risk of his spies colluding and feeding him bad data.
So where exactly are these spies going? Narada advises a massive audit of what he calls the 18 tirthas, or departments, of the enemy. But he doesn't stop with external threats. He insists the king keep a watchful eye on 15 of his own departments. The text explicitly tells the king to protect himself first from his own domestic and public servants. Vigilance literally starts at home.
When it comes to actual conflict and dealing with adversaries, Narada lays out a highly logical step-by-step playbook for conquest. First up, you have to strengthen your own kingdom before you even think about marching out. Then, employ the 4 arts: reconciliation, offering gifts, creating disunion among your enemies, and only as a last resort using force. And step 3 is crucial. Once you conquer, you must protect the vanquished with care. You treat those seeking shelter with paternal affection. You only march when your forces are trained, your troops are paid up, and the timing is absolutely right. On to Section 4, Building a Thriving Economy. Because let's face it, a secure kingdom is nothing without a prosperous foundation. So Narada grills the king on economic policy, starting right with the military payroll. He drops this incredible quote: "The misery caused by arrears of pay and irregularity in the distribution of rations driveth the troops to mutiny, and that is called by the learned to be one of the greatest of mischiefs." That ancient wisdom is 100% true today for any organization.
If you don't pay your people their sanctioned wages on time, you are just begging for an absolute disaster.
Zooming out to the broader economy, Narada asks if the king provides state-backed seed loans to farmers capped strictly at a 25% interest rate. He asks about infrastructure. Are large lakes and tanks being built so agriculture isn't just entirely dependent on the, quote, showers of heaven? He checks if artisans are getting paid dependably every 4 months and if traveling merchants are protected from fraud. I mean, we're looking at a full-blown, incredibly practical ancient economic stimulus package.
But beyond the raw economics and infrastructure, Narada checks the kingdom's moral compass. Is there a social safety net? The text reads, "Cherishest thou like a father the blind, the dumb, the lame, the deformed, the friendless, and ascetics that have no homes." Because at the end of the day, a true leader acts as the ultimate protector for the absolute most vulnerable citizens in their realm.
And finally, Section 5, the true fruits of power.
After this massive, comprehensive audit, Narada drops the ultimate question on King Yudhishthira. Has your study, your wealth, and your knowledge actually been fruitful? Because, think about it, having vast resources or a massive intellect is entirely meaningless if you aren't utilizing them correctly. This makes the king pause and essentially ask, well, how exactly do you define fruitful in this context?
Narada's answer is just breathtakingly clear. The fruit of studying the Vedas? Actually performing proper sacrifices. The fruit of having wealth? It isn't hoarding it, it's personal enjoyment and giving it away in charity. And this last one is my absolute favorite. The fruit of gaining knowledge is humility and good behavior. Think about how powerful that is. True knowledge shouldn't make a leader arrogant. Its actual intended purpose is to make you humble and well-behaved.
So what actually happened after this intense interaction? Well, King Yudhishthira didn't get defensive. Not at all. He took this grueling audit with a totally open mind, bowed down to the rishi and said, "My knowledge hath expanded under thy advice." And because he actually listened and acted on that advice, the text tells us his leadership brought unparalleled success, and he eventually gained the whole earth bounded by the seas.
Which brings this entire audit right back to us. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a provocative thought. If Rishi Narada walked into your office, your home, or your life today and audited your modern kingdom, what fruits would he find? How are you using your own wealth, your time, and your knowledge right now? Are they producing humility and good behavior, or something else entirely? Think about that for a bit, and I hope this ancient masterclass helps you strengthen your own kingdom today.